but I have been doing other thinking on the whole inside-outside stuff. When I do a lot of world building, as in yesterday, I, before my appointment, talked about the little town of Abernathy and what they're going to be dealing with after they've awakened this ancient being, and it has to kill and eat before it goes back to sleep. In a framework of what is happening on this whole thing, on the whole book idea, it's about 25% I talk about the building tension, and then about right here is where the Apple Rock Kaiju just rampages, and then it's everything is based on that till about here. And then that's where we start talking about Abernathy's happening. And then there's equal stories of other stuff and Apple Rock through here, because life goes on, and this takes place over the span of a year. And then when you get down to this area, that's when I start doing stuff about the expeditions down into the southern exit off of the crossroads and like that, because life goes on. And then ending up with the people just saying, it's like you have to just live your life. If the kaiju is this strong, there's nothing you can do to fight it. Just live your life. And that's life on the razor's edge. A year just of that time. But I've been doing still other stuff. There's that kind of world building where I talk about things like Abernathy, and then there's the kind of world building where I'm trying to understand and put limits on the other stuff that's there. I talk a lot about the glamours, and really that's just a word, a name. I mean, you can call them glyphs or signs or whatever you want. It's just I happen to use the word glamour because I also use the term sight to determine those who can actually, it's not just sight, it's every sense that you can interact with the inside. I do not know why this is so itchy right here, and it's driving me nuts. My sincere apologies. It's coming on in waves. And I'll scratch it, it'll be fine, and then it'll get itchy again. Like right now. But with all of that happening, the things like the glamours that people use to travel, nobody understands them, nobody knows how they work, it's very confusing. And why? Because without the glamours, you can't travel. I've talked about a good analogy for when you're like on the inside or you're on the razor's edge. Each area you walk through, there's so much more there. It's like there's 10 billion plates all stacked up. You enter, into that area. Reality hits the shuffle on the autoplay, finds out which tile you're going to enter. So you don't know where or how you can travel, and without that, you don't go from tile to tile. I've talked about how as well you can travel outward on the razor's edge, and you go out about 10,000 kilometers, and then when you do, you reach the end. You step further, you will arc with the just rampant possibility that's out there. There'll be another burst of world-altering and destroying energy, and there's another 10,000, miles or kilometers, I can't remember which I was saying, of razor's edge going outward. Try to remember where I was going with this. Oh yes, so there's the glamours. If you don't have the glamour, you never leave the area that you're in that way. You could be like in your town tile and you go outward. There are old games like the game Arena by Bethesda, the first Elder Scrolls game. If you do overland travel, it is an infinite world. You cannot leave wherever you are. You can go further and further, and it generates more and more, and there's land and there's stuff, but you'll never get anywhere. You have to do fast travel to travel between anything. That's kind of like how it works with the glamours. They're kind of fast travel, except it's not fast. That's the only way you can travel. If you leave your town and there are no glamours, you can go that way for eternity. You'll never leave the biome of the place that you're in, and it just goes on. 10,000 kilometers, or miles, nascent possibility, you take a step and bam, that world-altering burst of energy again. But you can never leave that tile. And it's the glamours that guide and lead you through to places. So if you have a destination, they nudge and push you until you get there. How do they work? I don't even know what they are. They're kind of terrifying, because what is there that tells you how to get to a place, hey, I'm going to head to Tall Ned. Especially since if you have a strong sense of sight, you can see some of these glamours. Like you got that nudge to turn left, and that's the only way to get where you're going, to follow the glamours. But the glamour that you're following that's telling you to turn left here might literally be, something that normal people out here could not even interact with, and so they'd see it as like an abandoned trailer on a corner. But it is literally just a half-rotted stack of severed human heads on a corner. And that half-rotted stack of human heads tells you, oh, you're going to Tall Ned? You need to turn left here. They don't tell you that. You just have that urge to turn left if you're going to Tall Ned. But it's still a stack of half-rotted, severed human heads. And part of the question is, what makes this a glamour? And part of the question is, who collected all of these heads? Whose heads are they? How does this work? And the answer is nobody knows. Especially since on the inside and on the razor's edge, there is no such a thing as air travel. Because since you need the glamours to travel. And I'm going to have to talk about that some tomorrow.